Most people who know me in real life know that there's maybe three things in my life total that have ever bothered me. And that's just because I'm an autist and a lot of stuff doesn't faze me. It's a superpower in that aspect. This is one of those three things. There's really no perfect way to approach this subject matter, so I'll just start from the top. One of the bigger content creators in the sim racing industry passed away in his sleep in early 2021. You guys know the channel as Sim Racing Paddock. I knew him as Will Marsh. Now, here's the interesting thing about this. I don't actually claim to have been all that close to Will. But what people probably don't realize is that Will was a sim racing event promoter. Prior to Low Fuel Motorsports taking over the new Assetto Corsa game, Original AC has an identical app called Sim Racing System. It functions basically the same, it's just ranked online racing. I raced with Will Marsh basically every evening for 3 or 4 years straight on this app. He'd have a Sim Racing Paddock sponsored championship that I'd race in, he'd stream it from his perspective, and then I'd usually see him in other NA time slot races throughout the week. As you can imagine, most North American sim racers are on iRacing doing NASCAR stuff instead, so it was a pretty small group of Canadians and Americans playing Assetto Corsa. Will Marsh was one of those regulars that we saw literally every night for years, and you just expected him to be there. He was one of the guys. It never crosses your mind that, hey, this dude's days are actually numbered in the single digits, and this is his last Assetto Corsa race ever. When the race ends, you just sort of park your car, you quit out of the game, and you go back to what you're doing before, but in hindsight, I just really regret not sticking around for those extra 5 or 10 minutes after each race for a casual chat. Now, this isn't to say I gave this dude the cold shoulder either. He was one of the few guys based out of North America who ran a sim racing channel who played everything. If he was streaming like an open lobby in a game, I would gladly take the 30 minutes out of my day to come in and just fill the field for him. So there's a cool video on my channel from years back where he hosted like a PCARS 2 lobby during launch week and like commentated a qualifying lap I did. Over the years, we slowly got to know each other a little better just from constantly being in the same AC races as each other, and eventually that turned into like a simple running discourse on Instagram where we just talk to each other about games or tech tips or shit like that. The really crazy thing about this industry is that people tend to stick around for a really long time. You can see this in the credits of some games if you look close enough. Guys like Tim Wheatley have worked literally for every major developer in some fashion, dating back to them graduating college. There was a time before even the creation of GTR where guys like Ian Bell and Doug Arnall were just 30-somethings playing NASCAR Racing 4 in online lobbies together. So guys like Jimmy Broadbent, Random Callsign, William Marsh, and myself, we're the next generation of sim figures in the industry, and for that reason, I just kind of expected Will Marsh to be around forever. Maybe in 10 years' time, Broadbent would start his own sim racing studio, and who knows, maybe Will Marsh is his community manager, that sort of thing. So, like, I really didn't take the time to get to know Will Marsh a little better like I should have because I just always assumed he would be around. And then I woke up one day and discovered that we just lost that. Among other things as well. I think Will would have really loved the chaos of the NASCAR 21 launch, for example. Maybe he would have broken a big story to on his YouTube channel and become, like, really big. Maybe he gets hired by a dev team or uses his YouTube earnings to race some sort of amateur-level car at Sonoma Raceway. I didn't realize Will actually followed me on Spotify, so I checked out some of his playlists, and there's actually some overlap in our music tastes. Maybe the more we talked, we would have become like closer friends at some point. The point is, I find myself thinking about this almost 2 years after his death. That's new to me. These are pretend race cars, but these aren't pretend friendships.